And we all realize we're late in life, you know, when you get a certain age, it can happen to any one of us. And the only thing that we all say, it seems, when people pass on is, boy, I wish I could have said one more thing to him, or I wish I talked to my brother, or my sister, or my mother, or my father. And that's the only thing I would encourage you to do, is because we all get so involved in our lives, which are complicated enough, really, to just survive. But just, you know, and you hear this over and over, it's nothing new, that I just think that you should, you know, with the people in your own circles of life, family and friends, you should just appreciate them, love them, hug them, do what you need to do. Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks.
So along the lines of that Sherry story about her wedding that she never watched, not only did she have no excuse that she didn't know who was in it, but her face was on the CD cover. It said Sherry's wedding. Thank you for reminding me of that. I completely forgot about that. We had a big platform for that. So next up, we have another one of the family friends that really cared about my dad. And my parents have known her and her husband Jose for more than 30 years that they met, and they did a lot of different things together. And Doris, come on.
I wrote mine. Anyways, I want to know we're here today to remember Ron as a person and as a true friend. Ron and Ellen were the first people we met when we moved to San Diego, some 33 years ago. And we tell everybody that they're our oldest friends, although they're younger than us. We were young and adventurous, and moving from Mexico City, we came to San Diego with blind faith, not knowing anyone. After we got settled in, I checked the job scene and was intrigued by Ron's ad, which read, "Be your own boss, make your own hours, and make a 6-digit income." Well, it sounded good to me, so I called his number. Anyways, we met with Ron and Ellen, and we saw an aspiring entrepreneurs who were young, vibrant, fun-loving couple that wanted the best out of life, and they seemed to laugh a lot. We then watched Ron bring out a whiteboard to show the plan of the business opportunity, and it was Amway. But unlike everyone else in the early 80s, we didn't even know what Amway was, so we were shooing it, we joined it. All I could hear was Ron saying that we would walk on the beaches of the world. We became close friends after learning about business, meeting people from all backgrounds, reading positive thinking books, listening to tapes and going to meetings and conferences as we climbed the ladder of success. We recruited a lot of people, which generated a lot of excitement, but we began to notice that they came in one door and out the other. However, our friendship was sustained. As the years passed, we realized even though we didn't become heavy hitters in Amway, our friendship grew as we developed our business minds. It was the most valuable lesson because we built a foundation at that point in time when we were young that helped make us successful in our own businesses. That being said, needless to say, Ron was a character. He had some quirkish ways about him, like when he recently changed the spelling of his name on Facebook. Did anybody notice that? I told him he misspelled his name. Ellen's was Piscitelli with the A, but he wanted to spell his name with an I. So he did. And he said his reasoning didn't always make sense, but that was Ron. He was so funny. He was a free-spirited man who was soft-hearted and unique in character. He was witty, creative, funny, and a deep thinker. And even his children's books reflected that. We had a relationship where we would kid each other we would kid him while he was trying to hold a laugh, but he didn't hold it up very long as he came back with some funny responses that sometimes would trick the mind with what he said. We would say what? He loved to repeat his favorite quotes, some that we learned from Amway after 30 years. He would always start off by saying something profound like, "You know, Doris," in his little Boston accent. We didn't always agree, but we had a brotherly sisterly relationship with Ron and could always walk with his friends and loved who he was unconditionally. Ron loved to be around people. He loved the excitement of meeting new friends, and it wasn't all about him. Not only sharing with others, but having a real zeal for learning about them. After he wrote his Italian cookbook, he visited my 88-year-old mother a few years ago and gave her a book and talked to her about his Italian recipes for hours and all the stories they came with them, as my mother did with her Greek recipes and her stories. After this 2-hour visit, we compared how similar our mothers were with what they said and did, especially when it came to cooking. Ron also had a humorous side when telling stories about his past, and I used to ask him, how did you ever find Ellen? She's gold. And then he told us how wonderful she was, and he knew that, but he told us how Ellen's sister is still mad at him. She's not here. About how mad he was at him because for him not marrying her. We thought, well, he must have been a real Italian Casanova, so that's his sister. I can't forget the time he told us how young he looked. We all laughed hysterically, of course. Then one day, Ellen told me that they went somewhere, and a little old lady said, "It's so nice you brought your son." I said, "What? How does he do this?" We all know how beautiful and young-looking Ellen is, so I asked, "Was the lady blind?" We laughed and laughed. We never hurt each other's feelings because it was all done in jest. We knew who we were, and the love between friends never was broken, and that was the best part of our relationship. Being accepted for who we are. There were some time gaps when we were consumed with our businesses, children, family, so we didn't communicate for a while, but when we did call each other, we always had the question, is this about another multi-level business? It became the standard greeting. We renewed our friendship over the past 6 years as we went out together, met for coffee, went to art shows and listened to some good music, or just visited them at their home for Pia's birthday or a vegan party. We shared the good times, the tough times, the fun times, and the dreams of our future, but no matter what the season, in the end, we always remember the lessons learned and focused on the future that rejuvenated us all. I'm sad that our crazy schedules didn't allow us to see each other more often. The last time we saw Ron was at Little Italy in November, where we all chatted while listening to the entertainment. We were supposed to meet at the Christmas night in December at Balboa Park, then for Christmas Carol the night before he collapsed. But for one reason or another, it just didn't happen. Little did we know, seeing Ron at Little Italy would be our last time together. It's just a reminder not to take life for granted. I know Ron loves his daughters more than anything. Once he invited them to do something together, but we invited them to do something together, but he opted out because he wanted to spend more time playing cards with Alex. Because he knew she was going to college and would probably find a boyfriend, and wouldn't be able to spend much time with her. He was feeling that emptiness syndrome, which we all did. The last thing he said to me was, we should get our daughters together so they can finally meet each other since they were all in town now. We all had plans to build a new future and with each other. Plans we hope he will be watching over us and we fulfill it. I think I can sum up our friendship with this quote. Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs. The ones who accept you for who you are. The ones who do anything to see you smile. And who love you no matter what. As we commemorate the loss of our dear friend, I can only go away saying we were so glad to meet Ron. And to share how life brought us together this season. And while we may not have become millionaires as a family, our friendship is worth far more than a million. With Ron, and Ron will be missed and never forgotten. We pray that Ellen and Rose will celebrate his life and continue in his footsteps. Though we can't turn the clock back, we can always cherish the memories. In closing, may these words be comfort and give you hope. From Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, but not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. God rest his soul and may his memory be eternal. Thank you.
So I can't decide which side story I want to tell about Doris, but I think the one I like the best that's short is, I looked at my dad's Facebook after because I was posting different things, and I was looking through his messages. And I thought it was hilarious, them talking to each other in message, because it was like two people who didn't really understand the computer, especially my dad. So Doris would go, "Can you like my daughter's page?" So he would go back, "I like it." And she'd be, "No, physically go to the page and click the like button." So, I like it a lot. The next thing, I'm going to read what my cousin, his niece Sherry, said. She sent a really nice message to be read. So, my Uncle Ronnie was a very special person to me all his life, all my life. We were very close. It is incredible that I am writing this for his memorial service. I still can't accept that he is gone, and I will never see him again in this life on earth. My love and prayers go to Ellen, Pia, Alex, and Lucy. I imagine Lucy, and for those of you who don't know this, our dog Lucy, who were best friends with my dad. I imagine Lucy does not quite know what is happening. I love you all very much, and I know how hard this is for you all to go through. I am kind of glad my mom, Ron's sister Patty, is not here to experience this grief. She could not have handled it. Ron spent so much time with me and my sisters as children. He was always there while we were growing up. He would babysit for us all the time. I remember fighting for the TV. I wanted to watch the Brady Bunch. He wanted to watch the basketball game. But one of my fondest memories is when he lived on Trenton Street in Brockton. I was 9 years old and it was summertime. I would sleep over at my grandparents' house 2 to 3 nights a week. On Thursday, I usually watched Grandma cook and ate as much as I could get away with eating. I would go to work on Friday with Ronnie to Paul Leather Company, Grandpa's shop, and my job was to sweep the floor of the entire shop. Entire is all in caps and bold. Then, after all the work was done, Ronnie would give me rides on the flatbed cart. I loved that. Old Frank was working there then, and one time after I had swept, he flicked his ashes on the floor. Well, even at a young age, I scolded him for doing that after I had just cleaned up. Of course, Ronnie yelled at me. I remember thinking I was right anyway. Then on Saturday, I would mow the lawn and help my grandmother water the plants. Sounds like we all want her to work for us. And I made $4 a week doing all these jobs. That was the beginning of the family shaping my work ethic. I have been very lucky being mentored by a family of business owners. I love my time alone with Uncle Ron and Grandma. They felt so special. When Ronnie babysat for us, sometimes he would have a party and the task at hand was to clean the house. We all had assigned jobs. Ron would be the checker, the manager. That's what he always tried to do when we did things too. But he made it fun. As a reward, we got to be included in the party at the beginning. And we all loved hanging around Ronnie's friends, especially we loved Alan. I had so much fun riding around in his Mustang. I remember washing the car with him. I wanted to drive, even that young, but the best I could ever get was sitting on his lap and staring. One time, he and Alan took us to Burger King, and they thought we would order really small. All three of us got giant Whoppers, French fries, and Cokes, and we ate it all in record time. They could not believe it. Ronnie introduced the Beatles to me. Of course, I would hear them on the radio, but he had all the albums. When he was not home, I would go into his room and play on the record player. Not sure if I had permission, but he would not have cared. He had this black, shiny wallpaper with green neon dots stuck all over it. His room was always so cool. Very creative, and I never found anything that I was not supposed to see. Not that I ever looked. Once when I was in junior high, I asked Ron and Ellen if I could go with them to college. They took me to Bridgewater State with them. We all fell down the sloping hill that was iced over. We all laughed and laughed and laughed. I went to class with Ellen, but Ronnie was the king of the student union. I remember he won an award for something, and Ellen was carrying it, and it got a tiny scratch on it. And by his reaction, you would have thought she broke it into a million pieces. I guess that's where I get my calm tongue now. And in parentheses, she put, ha ha ha. I guess I want to impress how much Ronnie has shaped my life.